Hi, this is Gautam. For today's episode, we're going to have a short review of this book, Sophie's World by Jostein Gardeer. Now, regarding the review of this book, this is actually a novel on the history of philosophy. That's what the author calls it at the front page. Now, if you look at the text, the story is pretty simple. We have a young 15-year-old girl, the Sophie, and we have a stranger writing letters to her. Now, if you look at the letters, first there is a philosophical question, like a very simple question like, who exactly are you? And then there is a follow up letter which kind of gives the philosophical explanation of who exactly is an individual and what does it mean. And slowly the questions begin to expand from the individual to the universe. And starting from the universal explanations in a chronological order, Sophia Munson is introduced to many philosophers. And when I say philosophers, I'm pretty sure that the first thing which came to your mind were the Greeks, and you were most likely thinking of Socrates. But what the author does is start with the natural philosophers, with the origin of the universe, the Big Bang Theory, then to the natural philosophers, and then comes the Greeks. And later it goes on into the time periods where there are the Dark Ages and the Renaissance, and then the changes in Western philosophy from 16th, 17th, and 18th century. So the basic structure is chronological, and there is a slight twist in the novel which I don't want to give it away. I want you to read and understand. So, if you take a very big positive of the novel, is that how bigger philosophical concepts, let's say complex philosophical concepts, are broken down into minor, simple ones. Because at the end of the day, the stranger or the philosopher who's constantly writing letters to Sophie, he's trying to explain it to a 15-year-old girl, and Sophie responds. We have conversations between both of them, and the questions are very simple. And the philosopher really has to take effort in breaking down those complex concepts into automized, digestible ones. And we see that, even complex ones, which we see with reference to Hegel or with reference to Marx, there or Descartes, for example, are really, atomized and then given as simple capsules. But if you think about it, that is also a downside. So, if you're going to read this book and expect a deep understanding of the different philosophies, then most likely you might be disappointed. And if you're reading this book, to have a more of a light-hearted, let's say, a novel-based reading, then there are chances you might get disappointed too. The main reason is when there are too many philosophers, there is a good chance, and provided if you're not reading the book consistently, just like me, because I had to take time on and off work to read this text, there is a chance that you may not exactly remember the previous conversations which they had. So that kind of puts you off in certain discussions. So apart from these, if you're simply want to, if you're really trying to get a simple introduction, and if it's possible to really find time where you want to have tiny, tiny pieces fed to you on philosophy, then Sophie's World is definitely a go-to book. So that's it for today's review. It's short and simple. So during the course of the last 40 days, I did read some other books. Whenever time permits, I'll definitely have short discussions on them. That's it for today's review. This is Gautam signing off. Bye for now.